Let me bang.
I do let you bang. Hey,
let me bang you, James, man.
I let you bang. I let you bang.
Greetings, marriage and virgins.
Go for Jesus. No forget Jesus, people.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for your favorite mixed martial arts podcast. Recording out of Los Angeles, California, it's MMA Roasted with Adam Hunter.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
What's up, people? Welcome to a brand new MMA Roasted Podcast. I'm here with one of my best friends in the whole world, a guy who I absolutely love. Sometimes we get too close, and then I annoy you. I feel like,
I don't know. When does that happen?
You're one of those people that because sometimes I try to ask you questions in the podcast, but I feel like you think I'm trying to bust you. But I'm not trying to bust you.
Okay, listen. Yeah, on the podcast, I mean, there's some shit you just asked me when we're not on the podcast.
I know.
Because I think you share too much. This is an MMA podcast, and you go around telling them everything about your fucking family, about your kid, about all this shit. I'm like, dude, fucking shut up. This isn't.
Dude.
But that's me. I don't share like that with the public.
That's the thing. It's like it's weird. I have this like OCD. I went to this school in high school. It was like kind of a cult. I got brainwashed in a way. Yes, it was better. It was good. It was good for me. I'm still brainwashed. It was actually good for me because I was in a terrible projection in my life. But
was this the military academy? Was this
the boarding school?
The boarding school, right.
They basically said if you're not honest with yourself, if you're not honest with everybody, so I would constantly clear my conscience. And with relationships, I would tell people things that I didn't need to tell them because I felt like if I didn't tell them, I wasn't being honest. And while that could be very entertaining, it has also fucked up every single relationship.
Totally, exactly. And that is part of growing up, though. That is part of getting older, is realizing that, not everybody needs to know everything, and maybe you shouldn't say, because I think that is endemic, especially with comedians, to overshare, to be brutally honest, to put too much out there. TMI, I think, was invented by comedians. We can't help it. We want to just put that was my thing. I would just put all my cards on the table.
Yeah, I know.
Day one, here's what I want. I could see it, and it's like, no. But you learn to.
But then with the podcast, I figure like, what's going to separate us? Yeah, we're funny as fuck. Yeah, it's great. But I'm also like, I just want to get it out. And then all of a sudden my wife it used to be a lot worse. I mean, it was easier when I was single because I would just say whatever. I had no one the fucking thing. But then sometimes like I exaggerate for comedic effect. And then my wife's like, you said this. I'm like, yeah, because it was funny. If I was like, yeah, things are going great and blah, 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 it wouldn't be, which they are. They really are. But at the same time, like, I don't know. It was funny.
See, I'm lucky. My wife doesn't listen to our podcast. So that's something and honestly, if she did listen to it every week, I probably would temper, my jokes quite a bit more. I'd probably be a little, but I don't talk about her much. I don't want, like, when I post about my wife on social media, I don't tag her. I don't put her name out there because otherwise fucking weirdos, including weirdo comics, try and like friend her or follow her or get it. And I'm like, dude, leave my wife, so I just leave her out of it as much as humanly possible.
I know, right. I hear you, but sometimes some fun. Like we got into an argument last week, my wife and I, because, it's always like, well, whenever I go away, it's always like I go away for a week sometimes. Day one, I miss you. I love you. Wish you were here. Day two, hey, things are hard. By day four, I didn't sign up for this shit. I'm a fucking single mom. This is fucking bullshit. When are you coming home? And then like the day before I come back, at day 5, it's like, I love you again. I come home. I love you again. And then I'm home for 2 days. When are you leaving? It's literally that.
My wife, she wanted to have sex the other morning, and I was so hungover. I was like, can we do this later? And I never say no. Like, I'm always like, yes, let's, but I mean, I just like, my head was throbbing. I was like, no, I'm sorry. I can't do it. I'm not in the mood.
No, I turned down a blowjob before a comedy show one time. I was like, want a blowjob? I'm like, after the show. Because I'm like, because in my head, this is how my brain works. I'm going to get a blowjob. I'm not going to be funny. I'm going to be too relaxed. I'm not going to be sharp.
Right, exactly. She's sucking the juice out of you.
And I'm going to blame it on her. I'm going to blame it on her. So now I'm like, but like, why, but so anyway, then what happened was, so the other day she was like, you don't have time for me, but you have time for comedy. You have time for coaching wrestling. You have time for your podcast. You have time for MMA. You have time for this. And I was like, okay, number one, I do have time for her, but I go, my wife's Christian. I'm like, listen, imagine if Jesus had a wife and she wanted all his miracles. He wouldn't have cured. Are you comparing?
Well, Jesus was a Jew. So.
I'm like, he forgave me. It was just, that was, but I was about to post this video. You ever clip these videos? Because now it's all about posting. You go on my Instagram now, it's all comedians posting the videos. And
yes, nonstop.
On one hand, it's so fucking annoying because you have to caption them too. And I talk so fast. So my captions are always like nothing to do.
And that's the thing. If you either do it yourself, they have the auto caption, but then you have to spend just as much time correcting the auto caption as if you just typed it your fucking self the first time. There's literally zero time saved. So you might as well just do it yourself. Plus the timing's always off when you do the auto caption. It's always better if you just fucking just sit there.
But a part of me is like, well, why am I doing this? So I justify it going, well, a lot of times I'll go through my material, old stuff, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I forgot. I don't do that joke anymore. Or, man, this is why they didn't laugh at this. Or, oh, they didn't hear this. So it is. But then you're like, I could be writing new jokes right now and not captioning this shit. So it's like there's constant that.
This is the war between new and old comedy because, the traditionalists, we just wanted to be great comedians on stage. We didn't have to be. And the first thing they tried to make us was promoters. Suddenly, when MySpace came out and all that, there were, it used to be we did the show, they filled the room. Then comics were like, I'll fill the room. And they started getting jobs. So we're like, I guess I'll fill the room. So then they try to make us the promoters. Okay, now we don't get to just be comedians. We got to be video editors and social media marketers and promoters and flyer graphic designers and all this shit that nobody goes into stand-up to want to do.
No. And then I'm like, well, why am I? Then I look at Matt Rife, right? Matt Rife was a funny comic who was doing some crowd work. I look at his TikTok videos, 6.8 million fucking followers. I'm like, this dude's on a fucking tour. And I'm like, not to compare myself to Matt Rife, but I'm like, I got some shit that I think is fucking hilarious. My crowd work. So I'm like, well, why am I not doing this? So now but then I'm like, well, the shit that I think is really funny, I'm like, is this going to get me fired? Because am I going to post this and someone's going to tag whatever and say, because people are laughing, but they're not there. So now I'm like, they're not there watching it. It's different when it's a live experience because you've seen the 27 minutes before that happened, or people, it's, everyone can see the person I'm making fun of. So now I'm like, do I get a fucking GoPro for where I put it on my shirt so I can see the person that I'm fucking with?
Well, and that's the thing, like a lot of these guys, they have the help of someone else that's traveling with them, working with them, that's basically like fully invested in their career, doing a lot of that work for them. Because we don't have that person. We never wanted to have that person, but they do. They have a best friend that they want to be part of it. So they shoot the audience and they shoot all the things and they cut the clips and and they do a big chunk of that work for them. I mean, we're one-man bands.
But on the other hand, it's like, okay, so I sold Kamikaze Comedy twice already. Like I told you, I sold it to Fuel TV. We shot a pilot. You were on it. All of a sudden, Fuel went under. I get the pilot back. I sold it to Esquire. We shot a pilot. Esquire goes under. Now I have it back, right? Before that, I sold it to MySpace. Actually, I sold to MySpace even before that. So now I'm like, now I have another idea for a couple shows and I'm reaching out to production companies, right? First thing they go is you call them up. Oh, great. Well, this is great, but how would you feel if we had, let's say, Bert Kreischer or Theo Von or somebody else as like the lead in it, right? So right away they try to take away whatever the fuck you did, and you're like, whoa, blah blah blah. So I'm like, then you're like, well, now there's gatekeepers and people not calling you back. So I'm like, fuck these gatekeepers. I could just put it out myself. So now you're like, there was actually a really good video. I'll show it to you that Jason Alexander actually put. And I love Jason Alexander. I mean, you can't argue that. I mean, he's one of the funniest people ever. I mean, without him, there's no Seinfeld. I'm sorry. Alexander.
No, you're right. You're right. The whole chemistry of the other people was what made that show work. Yeah.
And he made a video. He made a video recently, said, okay, here's my advice to young actors or to actors. He goes, the days of people putting you in something are over. He goes, maybe someone will put you in something, but that's 1 in a million or every day someone gets, he goes, you have to do it yourself. You have to get the camera person. You have to get the videographer. You have to get the actor. You have to get this. He goes, all you need is a fucking phone. He goes, and then if you put out good stuff, you'll always work. You'll always work. And then maybe someone will see it and will put you in something that you can't afford to be in. And I'm like, holy fuck, that's exactly what we're doing. Well,
and that's what I said. It started back within the MySpace days, which we entered what I was calling then, and I call it now, is the era of pop comedy. You know, it got away from, you know, having to put together an hour, having to tour, having to build yourself into a great comedian that could really do the job. And all you needed was a hit clip. And now, you know, so what used to be in music, a hit single, we are now up against the viral video. Yeah. The viral video is the hit single of comedy and music. But music, you can do more, you know, the song can break out on SoundCloud like as just a song. So for them, you know, whereas they need the hit single, we now have to have, you know, a viral video. It's about a viral video. Those guys, you know, they have a hit single and then you can tour on it. That's the formula now. But again, much like music, everybody's putting all this shit out there and you're like, why doesn't this hit? And honestly, I don't know, you know?
And some of it is like social media. While we need social media, because I hate to say it, but a lot of times I'm putting stuff up, not for even people, but for bookers, because bookers follow me and people that own comedy clubs. And they're the ones who see it and go, oh shit, this is funny. Oh, I forgot about Adam, you know? But so you're putting it there, but it's depressing. It's so fucking depressing, social media, because you're watching everyone else and then even when I put stuff up, like yesterday, I put a flyer up. Hey, I'm going to be in whatever. And the club books the opener, right? So I don't book the opener. And then somebody writes, man, you're one of my favorite comics. Why are you always working with these fucking comics I never heard of? These fucking pieces of shit. And he goes, why don't you work with Bert Kreischer? And why don't you work with Tom Segura? I'm just like, dude, I'm deleting this fucking comment. This is not a compliment. And second of all, just because you've heard of comics on a podcast doesn't mean they're the best comics. It's not even close. Podcasting and stand-up comedy are two different things. For example, I mean, Greg, you're one of the funniest comics I've ever seen, but there's also guys like Russ Maneve and Pete Corielli and Godfrey and Mitch Fattel. And I'll put these guys against any one of your favorite comics, okay? Any one of your favorite comics, I will put the Greg Rogels up against. But you have not heard of Greg Rogel, these fucking comedians. But you have heard of Tom Segura because of Rogan and everybody else. And
that's why Rogan moved to Austin. Everybody and their brother moved to fucking Austin because they knew that getting on Rogan was more valuable than actually mastering the craft and slugging it out on the stages of New York and Los Angeles.
Yeah, do you mean to tell me, Greg, you guys honestly believe Brendan Schaub wouldn't be a stand-up comic right now if we weren't on Rogan 170?
Dude, I heard a story about him recently.
I gotta be honest. I don't think so.
You're delusional, man.
Dude, this Booker,
not top talent.
Dude, there was a Booker who told me.
Well, if it's one thing we learned, a lot of things can stop talent.
And as a comic, Greg, I'm sure you and I both know that like there's nothing funnier sometimes than when somebody has like even like the Dime Bar, which is like this little fucking hole in the wall that I built just to get better at comedy. Literally just to get better.
I love it. Yep.
I mean, there's 10 people there, 15 people there just to work on shit. But when you see, I see comics all the time, they get off some tour with a bigger name comic. So they're doing stadiums and they walk in there and joke bombs, and they're like, the fuck, man, just so you know, 15,000 people laughed at that fuck. And they get so fucking angry. And there is a poetic justice in that of like, yeah, dude, that's like when I opened for Russell Peters and they're like, hey, man, are you nervous? And I'm like, no, there's 7,000 people here. If half of them laugh, that's still 3,500 people laughing.
Yeah.
when there's 17 people and half of them laugh, that's what, 8.5 people. So it's a lot fucking harder.
Strong math, by the way. Way to do that.
No problem.
When you try to split 17, I was like, which side of this is he going to fall? Is he going to go with a 9 and 6? Is he going to go with a 7 and 8?
But yeah, man. But I mean, even like I did a show at the Improv tonight, and how do you feel, Greg, about comics that laugh at all their own jokes?
By the way, I did math for 15, not 17. You know what? It depends. Because I say you should write comedy that makes you laugh, that you think is funny. So it depends. Some of them becomes formulaic, where their laugh, sort of like Fallon breaking on Saturday Night Live, it became his formula, was just kind of like to laugh instead of actually be funny. So it depends on who's doing it. You know what I mean? I laugh all the time on stage and usually it's because I'm improvising and I said something that genuinely cracked me up. So, so it depends on if it's genuine or if it's canned. Some guys, it becomes part of their act to just laugh at their own stuff and act like they're all cracked up. And it's like, well, then it's disingenuous. It's not my favorite. So, it can cut either way.
I'm not a fan. I'm just like, you wrote the joke. You can't tell me this is cracking you up every time you tell it on stage. But anyway, I like go up Monday night. It's like the black show. It's all Monday night. It's and I go up there and some fucking Asian girl with big titties just starts heckling like right away. Just got like, I eat pussy, this and that. And I'm like trying to shut her up. No one's shutting her up. Like,
what's her Instagram handle?
Dude, she was hot. She was hot too. But
I can tell. No, the way you're describing, I'm like, this girl sounds fucking hot. I gotta see this. Asian, big titties, and eats pussy. I must see this.
But it was one of those sets where, like, I was getting.
She probably has more followers than all of us combined.
Dude, I was getting him joke to joke, but I just couldn't get a roll. I couldn't get
right.
And I get off stage, and I'm just not the way that I wanted to. And then she wants to give me 5, and I have to cross lines with her. I have to pass her. At this point, like, I did not want to give her fucking 5. Like, thanks, you fucked up my set. Like, I did not want to give you 5, but I did because I'm just like, otherwise I would have been like, So then the fucking host goes on, and he's like, oh, give it up for Adam Hunter. And then she goes, he all right. Right? And then the host is like, oh, you want to fuck him?
Turn black? Midway through her heckling, she became black.
Dude,
I feel like it was probably the whole way.
Dude,
I'll tell you guys what not to do during, as if I know better than you, right? What not to do. Went to Theo's show, I told you the night here in Indy, right?
Yeah.
And feel like I know him, Theo, like Theo Von's show. And in the middle, some guy starts screaming his name for no reason and will not stop. It's 4,000 people there, probably. No parking, by the way. I had to park illegally with my dead grandma's handicap spot to keep from getting towed. But we walked right into the building.
Well, let's not pretend you didn't keep it for a reason.
Yes, no, I've had it. Yeah, for sure. Well, otherwise, if I don't use it, it's like she died for nothing. So that's what I feel. Anyway, this guy just keeps yelling his name, and Theo Von finally says, dude, what are you doing? Like, stop. It stopped right in the middle of his conversation. He said, dude, why are you ruining it for everybody? Or whatever. And he was like, what? Like, you might have family here. Like, people might know you. What are you doing? And it got so awkward, man. It went from 3,000 Brendan Schaubs repeating the punchline after everything Theo Von said. He actually said Jesus Christ, and a guy behind me said, Jesus Christ. Like, that was a punchline. Like, I thought Schaub was sitting behind me. I swear to God. Like, every line, the guy would repeat the last 4 words. And then we're sitting there. This guy, all of a sudden I hear, it doesn't matter what color it was, but he's probably black. A security guard starts saying, get up. Get on up. Get up. He's trying to throw somebody out. And I was like, is James Brown performing back there? Which all laughed from 3 or 4 people because it sounded just like James Brown. But no, that's awkward when the comedian starts talking to a guy and is unhappy. Like, it's different if you like handle like Norm Macdonald and start laughing or whatever.
Yeah.
He was serious. He just got serious. Like, dude, why are you doing this? Like, a lot of people paid money to come here, man. Like, why are you? And everything just, the whole mood got weird, man. It was something else.
Can I tell you? And this is and I mean, listen, success. You build an audience, stuff like that. But I've heard this about the audiences that come from that group, that set of comedians. That it's the Joe Rogan audience, and that it reminds me of the Howard Stern audience. The Howard Stern audience, very aggressive, very vocal, and oftentimes would ruin shows.
Yeah,
and it's like, are you guys here to ruin the show or enjoy the show?
I gotta say, when I did Skankfest, it was the opposite. I don't know, maybe because it's like they're very comedy centric, where the other guys are storytelling centric. But
well, I think that's a slightly different. I think that's not the same set necessarily of fans. Yeah. There's crossover certainly, but I think that they are definitely probably. I mean, that's more about a different group of people that aren't necessarily from the Joe Rogan camp.
I just want to hear offensive jokes and speech and the whole thing. Yeah, I think that also when you have people that like podcasters, people feel like they know you. They feel like they know you. They listen to you 2 hours, 3 hours. Like I know when I'm on stage who listens to MMA Roasted by what they're laughing at, because they are laughing at things that like they're like along with it. And it's a beautiful thing. It's great. But a lot of times it's like they don't understand this is a comedy show. You know, it's like
I know who listens to MMA Roasted because they're the only ones with cauliflower ears in the audience.
I just hate when sometimes like when I went up first Monday, I hate when I have to reset the crowd. Like when the host does crowd work, literally no jokes are told, and then you have to just reset them. And then it's like people are looking at you like, oh, this guy's corny because I have punchlines. I'm like, oh, fuck. But then, eventually
you slowly rebuild the rhythm. Yeah.
But that's what it is, man. I mean, basically people are like, what's the difference between a pro comic and an amateur comic? It's the same thing with football. To me, I compare it to football, whereas you get these stars in football, quarterbacks that get tackled. And by the third, fourth tackle, they're done for their whole career. But the professional is the one that stays in the pocket. You could throw 3 picks, but you're like, it doesn't bother me. And same thing when you have to follow a monster. Like I had to follow this comedian on a cruise ship the other day, and she was like a star. She had a pilot in the 90s. You know what it is, Greg. And then afterwards, she goes and sells CDs in the back while I'm on stage.
Like while you're on stage.
Yeah, while I'm on stage. And there's a line to buy them. But I knew the first couple minutes we're going to be fucking hell. But I was just like, okay, once I get them, you just have to, it's just once you land that first fucking punch, it's just once you land that punch, you're in the fight. You just have to not fold. And too many comics, they fold after 1 or 2 swings or 3 swings. Like, no, you have to fucking stay there. Eventually, if the material's good, people will come along. But it's just like, fuck. Anyway, so, all right, let's talk.
So welcome to another episode of Inside the Comedy Institute.
I'll just say, Adam, with you, I've seen Adam perform 20 times probably. And one-time comedy. That didn't make sense. Watching you in a porn movie or something. I don't know, man. Like, no, anyway, so that joke didn't work at all. Like I tried, it didn't work. But I've noticed your crowd work usually will get people going if you do that first, from what I've seen. Because kind of like, like if they're being weird, like you asked 4 guys one time if you could join their cell, and it took everybody like 30 seconds to realize what you meant. You looked over as a bunch of Saudi Arabian looking guys or whatever, but you didn't say terrorist, you didn't say anything. Said, hey, can I join your guys' cell? When's the next meeting? And everybody's like, what does that mean? And from that point on, everybody, dude, was laser beamed on you to see what the reaction would be and this and that. And it was
you got it. You just have to have different. It's like you just have to figure out what's working. What could the jokes aren't working, crowd work's working. All right, that's not working. Trick him into the crowd work where they think it's the crowd work, but it's the joke crowd work. All right, Greg, you're right. We should talk about fighting. So the power slap, Dana White's Power Slap League.
I don't know why we're going to talk about fighting. Nobody saw him, so okay.
Well, Dana White's Power Slap League is now going on pay-per-view. They're having their
what? Now, did the one on TBS bomb or did it do well?
I think it got like 300,000 views, which is not a lot, but I guess
not great for TV.
But I guess now they're factoring also like how many hits it got on Instagram or Twitter or viral videos. I guess that counts as views now. So I don't know, but they're having their finale is on pay-per-view. I don't know they're gonna have a band play or something. I don't understand.
Their second show is their finale.
They're like, no, they're like, it's all leading up to, I guess,
to a paper
type of $10,000 prize or something, or
sign me up.
And it's gonna be on pay-per-view. By the way, somebody, one of our fans said that he was sick of nobody actually preparing for the show, so he sent me a bunch of fights that are coming up and told me to read them. His name is shout out to John Hotz, who he goes, I know you got a lot on your plate and the knuckleheads don't help you prepare for the show. I put together some notes for this week's episode. Take them or leave them. Thank you. All right, so Laura Sanko. You know who Laura Sanko is? She's like this hot blonde who used to be a fighter.
Oh, yeah. She's going to announce, right?
Yeah, big titties, beautiful, knows her shit. I guess she's had a couple fights. She's going to be she's going to be the first female announcer during a primetime show this Saturday night. And I guess she's getting some hate from other announcers. She didn't specifically say who, but I'm pretty sure I know who because they were there before her. But she has fighting experience. So, you got fighting experience, you get a, plus, life isn't fair. Life is not fucking fair. So,
and here's the other thing you have to realize is anytime you get an opportunity, somebody lost their opportunity. For those guys that sat on it, for the last several years, there were guys that were before them, that they bumped off. And the problem is when you get it, you feel like it should be yours forever. Like you earned it. But then they're like, well, we're ready to make a change. And then, they get it like, how dare you? And it's like, well, how do you think you got it, man? I mean, it's that way at comedy clubs. If you're suddenly headlining a week, that means somebody from last year on that week didn't get rebooked.
Right.
So this stuff happens. What's her name again?
Laura Sanko. She does a good job. She's a hottie. So Jake
Paul, how do you spell Sanko? I want to look this up.
Sanko. So Jake Paul is supposed to fight Tommy Fury February 26th. The backup, in case Tommy Fury can't make it, is Mike Perry. Mike, which I think is a pretty good backup. I know they've sparred before. I guess Jake Paul was beating him in sparring, and Mike Perry even admits that he lost first couple rounds. But Mike Perry beat in a bare knuckle boxing fight, the guy from MVP. I think Perry could beat if Mike Perry takes it seriously, which I think he is, because I don't think that fight's going to happen. And Mike Perry versus Jake Paul is a very interesting fight because Perry is impossible to put away. He's got the hardest head in the history of heads. So I think
just ask the police.
What do you think about that, Sean?
Number one, there's no way Fury gets in the ring. No chance in the world. That's why they have to have a known backup fighter because he's not. His game is just stay famous and relevant as long as he can. Have you seen him box? He is the worst, maybe the worst boxer I've ever seen. It's the worst thing I've ever seen. I mean, it looks more set up than Jake Paul's fights. Like in the fights he fought, like it's ridiculous. But the only thing with Mike Perry,
you said it because I'm watching it and thinking the same thing, but I'm like, I must not. What am I missing here? Because it doesn't. How is he in these fights?
Right. It's amazing. But yeah, Mike Perry. I've seen him box professionally, his first and second fight in person, and Jake Paul's bigger than him. I don't think Mike Perry would throw the fight. I mean, I guess anything's possible. But if he knocks out or beats Perry, I got to believe it's real, man. I got to believe he's actually pretty decent. He's a lot bigger than him, but Perry's fought. I've seen him fight decent pros and hang in there. Like decent pro only boxers. So he can box. I mean,
I will say this: it's still fixed. It's still, and that's why they have the backup because they're like, listen. The Fury thing, that's going to be a real fight. Definitely won't happen. That's why you should prepare yourself now for the guy I've set up to take his place. The new $1 million man, Mike Perry. Completely fixed, total garbage.
Have you guys seen the slap ass competition, by the way?
I saw your clip of it, and I have to say, I had to watch it at least 20 times to really get what I needed to get done.
Sean, have you seen this?
Is this Russian, by the way? Is it in Russia?
Where is it in Russia?
That's what I was trying to decipher from the woman's accent. I'm like, is she Russian? Is that what's happening?
I mean, wouldn't this have been better than slap fighting? There's no CTE. You get to look at hot girls' asses. This is what Dana should have. I mean, this would have been better, right? I mean, I think people would have said he was too sexist or anything, or is that would have been? I mean, but this is a way better sport, I think.
I came up with an idea for a grab ass pay-per-view, but I realized the UFC's already putting them on every month because I haven't seen hard work of shit in months.
But I think you win by taking the most damage because the girl that clearly should have lost won. So I'm not sure that seemed like that's fixed too.
At least she kissed it at the end and made it better. If they need someone to call that fight, I'm in. If they need an announcing crew, you let them know. MMA Roasted is ready to step up.
Football is back, and BetOnline remains your number one source for all your football betting needs this season. You always find the latest football odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. And As your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on your favorite sports and events. Bet Major League Baseball, MMA, tennis, boxing, even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code CLNS50 to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts.
What's up, people? Listen, I got to talk to you about HelloFresh. All right. Now, with HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. My wife and I, we had the best meal we've had in ages, thanks to HelloFresh. I'm telling you, you could skip trips to the grocery store and you can count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Not number 2, not number 3, number 1. Look, we all have New Year's goals, right? Well, HelloFresh is here to help you achieve them. Skip the grocery store and take control of your time and budget with delicious recipes delivered right to your door. Are you looking for an easy way to eat well and save money this year? I know I am. Okay. So cut back on those expensive takeout and delivery. Yeah. You go out there, it's gas, and you get there and you got to pay for parking and this and that. It annoys you. Listen, HelloFresh has you covered. Okay. You'll love how fast, easy, and affordable it is to just whip up a recipe and you get a restaurant quality meal right in your own kitchen. All right. Eating well is top of the mind this month. It's comforting to know you'll always get top quality with HelloFresh. The ingredients travel all the way from the farm to you in less than 7 days. So you know they're fresh, okay? I'm telling you, my wife, we've had the greatest meals. I'm so happy for HelloFresh, all right? So you got to do this. Go to HelloFresh.com/roasted21 and use code roasted21 for 21 free meals plus free shipping, okay? HelloFresh.com/roasted21 and use code roasted21, like I just said, for 21 free meals plus free shipping. All right. Check out HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. I got contacted by Fight Circus where they want me to announce that's the one. And I'm going to try to they're coming to Vegas and I'm going to try to get us, the 3 of us, and Don. I'm going to try to sell us as like a package. I may have to take 1/4 of the money to pay me, but it would be worth it just to have you guys there.
I want it, man. I'll do it for free. I just was thinking I should probably kiss her at the end because I heard 90% of cases for real. The person's only hitting a woman because they love her. That's what. All
right. Thank you, Sean. Now, what happened? You said texting wise.
And now for our get canceled moment with Sean McCorkle.
No, Sean, you told us there was a story about you getting AIDS for 8 minutes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So okay, I'll give you the condensed version, man. I'll try not to. You guys know I like to mess with doctors, right? Because I don't like them. So I took the psychologist I last met with when I was trying to get a spinal cord stimulator put in for a ride for a while. So
the one that you thought it'd be a good idea to fuck with and to get cleared psychologically. Yes, I remember this.
So I had convinced the doctor. He paralyzed me one time because he kept telling me there was no danger of paralysis. So I had to sign a waiver. So I'm not signing the waiver if there's no danger. What's the point? So I go to try to give, since I'm still taking testosterone, my red blood cell count is too high. So they want me to go give blood. Well, you go there. Well, your hemoglobin's too high. Come back in 24 hours. I'm like, okay, well, I'm an hour and a half from here. The only lab that does this. So I drive, come back in 24 hours. Oh, no, your blood pressure's a little too high. I'm like, what is it? 140/95. I'm like, well, that's like normal. It's a little bit higher than, well, we they on and on, dude. So you got to be in the perfect position, perfect everything. So anyway, I start to tell this lady the story about one time I was in Australia because she's sticking me the needle, can't find a vein. I said, last time this happened, I was in Australia and I was getting an IV to rehydrate for my fight before Soa Palele beat my ass in 2 minutes. But the doctor was very unhappy about being there. He was a friend with the promoter, and he's at an immediate care facility at 11 o'clock at night giving us IVs, and it's just irate that he's even there and making it known. He hates that he's there. Cannot believe I came in to do this. So trying to lighten the mood with the other fighters, I said,
here we go.
Yeah, he stuck me, and after a minute, he's sitting over there writing some stuff down. I said, Doc, I know you know what you're doing, but are there supposed to be big bubbles going into my veins? I said, it's weird. this IV, and he jumped up, and I said, I'm just kidding, man. And he got upset about it because he like hit his hip on the desk and stuff as he was getting up or whatever. He was like, that's not funny. I said, if you saw the look on your face, it was, and he didn't like it at all, right? So he starts looking at my chart, and he's like, he's looking around, he goes, you haven't had an HIV test yet. I said, yeah, I had one 10 days ago. He goes, you have to have it within 36 hours. They fight in Australia. I said, well, I guess I'm not fighting then. I hope they still pay me. He goes, no, we'll do one right here. This is whatever, 2014 or 13, a long time ago, 13 maybe. Well, I was like, they have an instant HIV test? He said, yeah, 30 seconds. And I said, can I buy some from you? And he was like, why? I said, so I can test those around me? Like,
right, exactly. Like, oh, we're here at my place. Just take this little.
Right, yeah. Well, I want to check a little drop of your blood real quick. But he takes it from me and two other fighters, sets it down, leaves the room for 20 minutes. So I'm like leaning, I'm stuck this IV, and it's on like a fixed pole. I can't take it with me. And I'm looking for a skull or a plus or a negative, like anything that's bad or good news, because I'm a little bit nervous,
Right.
Comes back in, he goes, John, you're negative. Joe, you're negative. Soa, you're negative. He said, Sean McCorkle. I said, yeah. He goes, huh. And he throws it in trash. He goes, starts opening over, goes, here, I'm gonna get another one from you. And I said, wait, was it positive? He goes, listen, these things aren't 100% accurate. Let's don't freak out. Like, I've seen it. So he leaves me sitting there, and I said, I immediately thought, dude, in my head, like, I knew I shouldn't have went out with that girl on house arrest. I knew it, or went in with her. I was like, I knew it. And then I was like, I got to tell my kids, man, not that there's anything wrong with being gay, but everyone's going to think I'm gay, which I was, but no. But so I'm sitting there, and dude, I am like 5 seconds in, pouring sweat. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, my heart is racing. He goes, huh, I'm just joking.
Oh my God.
He said, like you were about the bubbles going, I'm really funny. Medical jokes are funny, aren't they? And it changed my life. It really did. Like for 45 seconds, I swear I thought I had AIDS. I was like, it's over. Like, it's over. I don't have my like Magic Johnson money. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I can't.
I gotta tell you, I'm on the doctor's side here. I mean, you stepped right up and fucking started that. So I mean, good for you. I'm proud of the guy. I hate to say it.
That happened to me.
He got you. He fucking got you, man. That's pretty slick.
When I moved to LA, I got a phone call. This is the Center of Disease Control. You need to get tested immediately. And I was like, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I just banged her for the first time with a condom. I'm like, thank God we used a condom. Like, but I called them back. They were like, you have high cholesterol. That was the first time. I was like, you fucking assholes. Second time, someone I slept with tested positive for something. I had to get tested immediately. The only thing open was the gay men's health clinic. Right. So I had to go to the gay men's.
Which is great because they already knew you.
Right.
Dude, I go there. And the guy was like, have you had unprotected sex with a man before? I'm like, no. He's like, what are you doing here? He's like, you don't. That's what the guy said. Like I said, I'm not condoning this, dude. But in West Hollywood, by the way, in West Hollywood, they have trucks outside gay bars and clubs. That's instant AIDS tests. Yeah. So before you leave with someone, you can go get tested in this truck, and they get. But I'm like, what a buzzkill. I mean, can you imagine, like, you're finally going to get laid, and then you go in the truck and get a fucking...
Yeah, I think they encourage you to get tested on the way in.
Oh.
So you're kind of walking around with it like, hey, like a big ass, you're tested, You can...
I wonder if there's an underground market for negative AIDS tests, and is there a way that I can profit from it? Like go to the gay bars and sell
I feel there's... Listen, all you need is a little graphic design work, and you can do it.
I was selling vaccine cards for a while that I got for $10 a piece from a guy so that showed you were vaccinated when workplaces were requiring it. I had the correct numbers and everything, and actually had someone test and use it at work because they're not allowed to share your personal information, but they can tell if it's a valid number on the thing if it's a valid vaccine number. So yeah, I had them. They were going all over the country there for a little while, man. That was a nice little side hustle for me.
You're the funniest human being. I don't even know how you get involved in this. It's like career day. You went to all the worst careers. Like anyone else, every other place, you have like his career day was like dealing steroids, illegal this, doing that.
But this was when I was selling Viagra for $1 a piece, making like $3,000 a month doing it. That was amazing.
How are you getting the Viagra so cheap?
Dude, there's this dude.
It's real easy. All you gotta do, you go to Costco. You buy a whole thing of Tic Tacs, and then you just take those and you put them in a medicine bottle, and people just buy them. It's amazing.
No, there's this dude that kept hitting me up, and I started calling him Stalker Indian Ranger because he wouldn't like leave me alone. Like he just kept texting me over and over again. You bought supplements from us in the past, so I ended up like I wanted his personal Instagram and all this to make sure. I mean, not that he's a Fed, but he lives in India, so whatever. And I'm like, well, what do you have available? And they had all kinds of stuff available. This is years ago, past the statute of limitations, maybe. But I was like, what can you do price wise? And he's like, so something outrageous. I said, dude, I'll buy 10,000 of them, but I only want to pay 25 cents a piece. He's deal. And I can only ship 500 at a time. And I said, what's your address? So, well, you're not shipping them to my address. Let me make some calls. So I had a few people I might know said, hey, if something got shipped to your house and stolen off your front porch, how much would that be worth to you? And they're like, I don't know, like $50. So I was like, you don't have any cameras at your house? No, cool. Okay. So there's going to be a package delivered in 6 weeks. I'm going to steal, or I'm not going to do it, but someone's going to steal it off your front porch. 500 at a time. And it's just costing me like $50, right? So now I'm only another 10 cents in. Right. And then, the Viagra go for like 15, $20 a pop. You know what I mean? So I was like, I drove the entire Indianapolis market down to where they were going to 2 to 3 a piece. And then I allegedly found a guy, but not really, but who would just take them all like at $1 a piece. And he also had friends who had mailing addresses. And so then I became just the middleman who would make a phone call or an email, and they would deliver addresses with a number, with a number account, and then or not an account, but a number of Viagra, and then they did their own thing, and I just made all the money. So
one of my best
and welcome to another episode of Locked Up Abroad. What the hell?
Dude, one of my best friends, Aldo.
You're so crazy.
My friend Aldo, we coached wrestling together, and he was the other team tried to like steal him from us, right? And it was funny because like they're like the rich school, Harbor Westlake. It's like $30,000. So. Like,
well, I tell you what, it sounds like a rich school. They have 2 fancy names.
Dude, and one of those things, like Aldo's one of these guys that always gives you Viagra whenever you see him. Like you'll say, hey, what's going on? He just hands you Viagra. Like for some reason, he's just like that guy.
I wonder, you know what? I think he may have handed, because my wife found it. She was like, what is this? This is Viagra. And I'm like, no, Viagra's diamond shaped. I don't know what the fuck that is. Maybe it was just random blue pill. I wonder if I got it from him. I wonder if that's where that came from. I had no idea what it was.
But he never asked. There was another guy named Yoshi who would alys give you porno back in the day. He worked
because he worked for a porno company. Yeah, he worked for Evil Angel.
But you would never ask for the porno. He would just be like, hey, how's it going? And give you.
Also, it wasn't my brand of porno. Like, I'd try and watch it. I'd be like, who fucking gets off to this? These people are not having fun.
People have like chainsaws in them and stuff. So anyway, Aldo gives you Viagra. So he got kicked off. So he went to the other team. He ended up not passing the background check for Harbor Westlake. But for 2 weeks, he was coaching my opposite team. So during the match, I'm yelling out like, do the move Aldo showed you, because he's coaching against me. I'm like, give me Aldo. So I'm just making him laugh, because he's miserable over there. So, and then halfway through the match, he hates their coach. And he comes up to me. He's like, I fucking hate this guy. And my athletic director, he just starts handing us Viagra, like in the middle of a wrestling match. And I'm like, bro, we're at a middle school wrestling match. I don't need Viagra. Like, this is just bad optics all around. Like,
oh my gosh. I'll tell you what's a bad idea.
The last thing you want to do is have a boner around children in singlets.
Yeah, the singlet's not the best idea.
Last time I checked.
I will tell you guys, do not ever go in CVS and try to buy $5,000 in Visa gift cards to pay for Viagra, because it's red flags everywhere. They're like, well, what is this for? And I said, I'm real rich and I'm giving them to my nephew for my nephews for their graduation and nieces and stuff or whatever. Said, mind your business. So we can only sell you 500 at a time. I said, okay, I'll just go to 10 different CVSs. That works. So I just went and so that's the best way to pay for things. Just don't try to buy too many at once. They get weird.
Did I ever tell you, Greg, the Aldo Black Steve story? Sean, ever tell that story?
No. Probably not.
So he's coaching high school, and there's 2 Steves in the team. There's a white Steve and Black Steve. He's old school. He's like 60 from Philly. So he has all the kids calling the one kid Black Steve because he's black, right? So of course the kid's mom, who's like from Compton, this bigger woman, goes, text him like, why is everyone calling my kid Black Steve? Like what kind of school? Like, you have the whole team calling him.
We already have a poor Steve.
So Aldo writes back, I'm so sorry, blah, blah. And his go-to emoji is the black thumbs up. Like, he thinks that's funny for some reason, but he forgot about that. So he's like, it'll never happen again.
Oh boy.
And then he sends the mom a black thumbs up after saying he won't call the kid Black Steve. So then of course the mom flips out because now she got a black thumbs up after a Black Steve. So like I thought Sean would like that story. All right.
Yes, because it's lightly racist.
So the UFC, they signed Bella Mir, who's Frank Mir's daughter. Have you seen Frank Mir's daughter?
No, let me take a look here.
Dude, she was like a 4-time state champion. She's jacked out of her, like if you were to put together like just like a superhero, like one of those Marvel kids, like she's just, and now she wrestles for Iowa, and I think she starts for the team. Dude, I don't know what kind of strength and conditioning program they have this kid on, but the son is is going to go in the NFL. And the daughter is just a monster wrestler. So the UFC, I guess they're now somehow sponsoring college.
Oh, I'm spelling it wrong. That's my problem.
Bella Mir. And she's like a really nice kid. But Jesus, Frank's got some good genes, huh, Sean?
Yeah, that makes me sad for them. I mean, I've met his kids before. I know Frank. I don't. It's to each his own, man. But if my son was going to fight, I carry guilt to this day. My dad begged me my last 10 fights not to do it anymore. Every fight, he said he would just give me the money. That I was getting paid for the fight. He said he couldn't take the stress anymore. And I told him, Dad, I gotta do what I gotta do, because he knew I was hurt on a lot of them. And I was like, I can't take money from you. Sorry. But I imagine now that my son's older, I imagine him fighting. I don't know how a parent can do it, man. Like I cannot, especially a girl, your daughter fighting.
But the girl's a monster. And
I know that's
she's. I mean, you could tell she's been fighting long enough. The muscular
development is
huge.
I'll tell my dad you can't pick what you were good at, like what you were born good at, So I was like, I can beat anybody in the world without even training, not anybody, right. 90% of the world without even training. So, but it's I like I said, man, I feel guilt over it now badly that he's dead. So
Francis, sorry about that. By the way, every time I post something with my dad, I have to hear Sean's Facebook saying, "Wish I had a dad that was alive." Like,
that makes it so. I love ruining your anything. My dad's 30th anniversary. I wish I had a dad who could have an anniversary with a woman who is still alive. It must be nice.
And now, Sean, why are you carrying a gun now everywhere you go?
Oh yeah, no, I realized, dude. One day, weird. me and my girlfriend, who you've met, is about 120 pounds. We were wrestling around one day, playing around, and I realized she could probably almost beat me in a fight now with my back. Like if I didn't win, seriously, if I did not win in the first 30 seconds, let's say she somehow avoided me, all it takes is me moving the wrong way and I'll be laying on the ground screaming, So that's when I realized I'm not nearly as tough as I thought I was, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like, because I think all the time, if that dude does this, I'll do this. And then I think, wait, no, I won't. You're not going to do anything. Like that kid could probably beat you up, that 22-year-old, you know what I mean? Like I think about, I was telling somebody I boxed Jake Paul. I was like, wait, Jake Paul would beat me up now. Like, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, I can't even move my back. I can barely walk, So I just started carrying a gun with me because I want to be able to have the same attitude and confidence, you know what I mean? And a surety that I know I would win the fight if I got into it with somebody. Because I have a tendency to get in altercations. I can't imagine why. But, like, I've been in multiple movie altercations where, like, I threw a Coke and hit a guy in the face with it. By a guy, I mean a 13-year-old kid, but he spit on me.
But you don't think that maybe that having a gun would be the worst thing because you would do something stupid like this and then shoot somebody and be in jail?
Might not be the best idea.
Maybe you want to carry some mace.
Might not be the best idea, but I've also been shot at before and had guns put in my face in real situations. So I would much rather have one should that happen than not.
How did someone miss you with a shot?
I've been shot. It's a long story, but I heard one ricochet right by my head, man, during like an altercation thing, and it started going off. And I'm the tough guy, like, dude, what are they letting off fireworks over there? And then you hear bing, like right by your head, or whatever. You're like, dude, they are actually shooting. Took me like 10 seconds to realize it was for real, and then had to jump on the ground, climb under a car, or whatever. So I guess they weren't shooting directly at me, but we also had when I was camping when I was 10 years old or 12 years old, my dad accidentally threw a bag of bullets for a .22 rifle in the campfire. And that was the first time I had fire directed at me. Like I was standing there and I started hearing.
Yeah, they just.
Yeah, I started hearing, it was probably 200 bullets. I started hearing what I thought.
Why would you wait on purpose?
No, he thought it was trash. My dad was so clean, so obsessed with trash. Like he used to bathe in bleach. Like my dad would pour bleach on himself in the shower.
You don't just throw shit into a fire.
My dad did. He would grab any paper he saw, any trash, anything. He saw this bag with like some chips in or whatever, not realizing my brother had poured 22 shells into it because his box broke because we were shooting while we were, like.
Is your dad like Wile E. Coyote or something? That
I was
sounds.
going to say,
Yeah,
so great decision making runs in the family.
right, absolutely, yeah. He threw a bag of, I swear to God, threw a bag of bullets and then fire, and we thought they were black cats. He goes, "Who's letting off fireworks? I told you guys not to bring any, or whatever." And then we started hearing ricochets and started seeing it come out of the fire, and I was like, he's like, "What did you boys put bullets in one of those bags like that or whatever?" We were like, yeah. And then we all, same thing, dove on the ground, man, and just waited for it to stop. But it was, it gets like surreal when bullets are going around you like that and hitting stuff. Like you sit there like just waiting for it. Like, well, this will.
Sean, as your friend, as one of your best friends, do not carry a gun everywhere. Okay, you have lots of rage up. You don't have an outlet right now for all the anger, other than like writing shit on Facebook and stuff. And I
and you also just said it on this podcast.
Yeah, I can.
So your deniability is going to be.
I have a license, so it's 100% legal. I have a license to carry. So,
right.
Although I did when I went to Theo's show the other day, I got in there and had my gun with me, and saw they had metal detectors, so I had to go walk back out to the car and leave it because
that you parked with your dead grandmother.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Just
want
to make sure.
Put that out there. We had to limp to it to make sure in case anybody saw the handicap thing.
How was backstage at the show?
He actually, man, I didn't want to bother the dude too much. So I told him we would just wait till he came out because he was going to take pictures with people after. He probably stood out there for an hour taking pictures with people, man. It's I think it's really cool of him, man, to still do that at that level. He's flying in private jets and stuff. Like he doesn't have to go back out. No one does that at that level that I've ever known, actually go out and take pictures. But he was cool, man. He made sure his manager Bizzle, the guy, made sure that he spent extra time talking to my son and my nephews. And like my son thinks me and Theo are friends now because Theo recognized me. He goes, "Hey, I remember you. What's up, Sean?" Like, whatever, like gave me a hug or whatever. Where everybody else, he's just smiling, taking pictures, and they move on, whatever. And my son's like, "Man, he remembered you." I was like, "Trey, like, what do you do? What do you think?" Like, no one. I met him 6 weeks ago. Look how big I am. Of course, he remembers me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not easy.
Well, and Theo's a genuine guy. He really is. He's a sweetheart of a guy, and genuinely one of the funniest guys I've ever worked with. So, I mean, he's pretty cool that way.
I'm glad for him, man. Anybody like you, Adam, anybody that's been doing it for 20 years, Brennan Shaw, people like that, you guys all, when you finally get your chance, and it's not based on talent because you've been that talented for years, you just finally right place, the right time. If Theo hadn't been on Joe Rogan, he probably would still be unknown. Like it just, when it's your shot, I mean, if you guys were smart, you would have fought for years, get almost brain dead, then befriend Joe Rogan, and he would be so concerned for your health, he would gift you a career with 179 appearances on his show in a row. But
it's all good. So it's supposed to be Ngannou says he's in contact with Tyson Fury for a super fight, boxing this summer. Oh, man. I
like how they're going to switch to MMA gloves. Like that matters. You know what I mean? Like, you're still boxing, but it'll be smaller gloves. Okay, well, he'll win then.
I can't see Ngannou beating. I mean, unless Fury doesn't take it seriously, which Fury's kind of a head case. Maybe he might not take it as serious as he was, Anthony Joshua or somebody, what's his name? I'm talking about the guy that the huge guy that
Deontay Wilder.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, it's weird. It's why do we keep
Ngannou versus Wilder is a far better fight, far more interesting because they both do the same thing. They don't have a lot of technique. They just swing wild, and they've got so much power. That would be better. But I mean, he could hit. If he hits Fury, he could knock him out. It's can he hit him? And it's I don't know, man.
And then also this week, PFL. So they have this new thing where they have celebrities vote on whether or not you make the PFL in their super fight. Like last,
and that's how you know WME got involved.
No, it's the PFL. It's not.
I know that. Well, so they are involved then.
No, PFL's not. Somebody's aren't involved. I mean,
I thought UFC Umbrella ended up buying them.
No.
They originally owned PFL back in the day. They don't now, but the UFC allegedly owned PFL back in the day to hurt Bellator by signing all the guys they didn't want. So,
but last year, I guess they had Jeremy Piven was one of the guys that decided whether or not you should get a contract. This year, it's Kurt Angle is doing it this Friday. And
from the people that brought you Last Comic Standing, it's a new twist on the Professional Fighters League.
I mean, can you imagine
this year, sure, you're a good fighter, but what does Tom Arnold think?
Tom Arnold was the perfect person to use in that joke.
Right reference. Again, I talk about this in my workshops, the golden reference.
I mean, come on. I mean, why are we doing this? I mean, it was Kurt Angle and Paige Van Zandt are the two judges this week. I don't know who the third judge is. But
Are they judging the fight or who gets into a tournament?
Who gets into the PFL? Like basically, these are like, it's like they're rookie,
like a contender series, but with celebrity judges.
Celebrity judges, yes. And last year it was Piven and Tyron Woodley. This year it's Kurt Angle. So at
least when Van Zant's doing it, when she says when I used to fight, it'll actually be true, as opposed to when Rogan says, back when I was fighting. I'm like, wait, when did that happen? You mean a Taekwondo tournament? That doesn't count. Like, it's not, you weren't fighting in a Taekwondo tournament. I don't know if you guys know that, but a lot of fighters really don't like that when Rogan says back when he was fighting. So he didn't text me back, so he can eat one. So.
And then they announced that Israel Adesanya will take on Pereira April 8th for the 4th time. They fought twice in kickboxing, where Pereira won, and now they fought once in MMA. But people are like, "Why does he get?" I mean, he was winning 4 rounds to nothing. I mean, he did get caught in the 5th round, so it wasn't like.
I've never understood the anger over a champion getting an immediate rematch. Like, has he earned it? He had 12 title defenses. Yeah, he earned it in those 12 title defenses,
Yeah, I mean, that was a shocking victory, to say the least, I mean, and yeah, he was absolutely winning that fight hands down before he got caught. So,
when you don't do it, let's say he loses his next one. Now he's got to win 2 or 3 to get back there. Like, it's just like it's not. Even if he gets injured, breaks his hand or leg, whatever, then now he's got to. I always say do the fight. Like back when they were doing Fedor and Brock Lesnar, I was like, dude, just do whatever it takes to make the fight, even if it's a 1-fight deal. Just do whatever it takes, because otherwise it never happens. Like it goes away, Like it just. He
was so nice. I sat next to him at the award show. I got up. My dad was sitting next to me. My dad had no idea who he was.
Which one?
Israel Adesanya. I'm like, Dad, this is Israel. And he's like, oh, nice to meet you. Blah, blah. I go, this guy's the best in the world. He's like, I got work to do, right? So he's sitting there. My daughter spills his drink all over he flew in the night before from New Zealand to get the award. He spit my daughter kicks his alcohol everywhere. So now I'm like, oh God. So I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry. He's like, kids. I go, you have it? He's like, I don't, not that I know of. Like, nice guy. And then the waitress came over. He asked the waitress to get him chapstick. I've never seen it before. She goes, do you have any chapstick? And this beautiful waitress, and she went and got him chapstick.
Well, he is Israel Adesanya. I mean, I'm sure if you asked for chapstick, she'd be like, the gift shop is located in the lobby.
Yeah, no, like he pulled in. They had a whole team of people that walked with him, like it was like FBI, but there was no one there.
Well, I think those people just believe that Israel has a right to exist, and they were protecting him to make sure that.
I was looking for the Israel joke too. Good one.
Safely be able to live his life.
1000%. But a real nice guy. He was sitting there, and I think he's gonna win this fight. I think that I think he learned his lesson, and I think he's gonna win this rematch. You, Greg, Sean,
handily.
I say it's hard to beat anybody 4 times in a row, man, in anything. So I think, the same basketball team plays 4 times in a row. They usually don't win all of them. So I just the odds alone would say that Adesanya should win.
And we just saw that play itself out in the NFL with Cincinnati and Kansas City. They're going in 3-0, and I was like, it's tough to beat somebody 4 times in a row. But I don't really count those first 2 because it was a totally different discipline, totally different arena. I don't count those 2. I think he didn't really win the first one. He got lucky, and I think in the second one, Israel's one of those fighters, sort of the way John Jones was, which is they could easily have put them out sooner, but they were enjoying beating up on them. They were enjoying the fight, only they let it go too long and the guy got lucky. I do not think this happens this time. I'd be amazed if it got out of the second round.
Also, they announced Shevchenko's taking on Grasso March 4th on the John Jones card. Jared Gordon, he's the one that got fucked by Patty Pimblett, remember? Like, he won that fight. Everyone gave it to Patty. He's fighting Bobby Green. They keep giving him Bobby Green's a tough guy because he's so fast. But he got knocked out hard his last fight. Bobby Green got and then Kelvin Gastelum is taking on Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis has never been taken down in the UFC. He for 20 for 20 takedown defenses.
That's impressive.
Yep. So this guy named John Joseph Holmes claims that he was beat up by Kevin Holland and his crew last Friday. He was walking past him at some event, and he got jumped. He says, he's basically. And
Let's hope to God the judge and jury have not seen his last couple fights because they will never believe that story.
Kevin Holland.
Yeah, they're like Kevin Holland didn't beat anybody up. There's no way he beat you up.
Yes, and then also Caitlin Neal, who's like
Kevin Holland needs to move on to Wild 'N Out, where he can finally use all that trash talking to his advantage.
And then Bella, what's his name? Signed with the PFL. Caitlin Neal, who's like a fucking smoke show. This girl's very, very a nice girl. She signed with the PFL, so happy about that. And then it was one of those things on The Ultimate Fighter. She was on The Ultimate Fighter. She's like, my father, I haven't seen him in years. He just passed away from drugs. He wasn't a good father. Like talked about it and like found out that her dad died like a week before the fight. And then she wins her fight, and someone's like, your father would be so proud of you. I was like maybe you didn't get the backstory about this, but yeah. In other news, so did you guys see that Pornhub? I don't know if this is real, but Pornhub is celebrating Black History Month by only putting on.
Oh God.
So look, so somebody said
there's some organizations you don't want to be celebrated.
They're only uploading videos of fat white women. Is that what you're getting at?
No, that's not what I was getting at. So look, they go Pornhub. What a time to be alive. Is this real? We commit to stand in solidarity and take action with the Black community by rightfully demand justice. That's why June only ebony videos will be available on our website on Pornhub.
That seems like it can't be real. I don't know. I'm not going to verify it, but that seems like it can't be real.
That seems, you know what? It's one of those things that see, you know, possibly I'm going to assume, you know, I hope was done with the best of intention, but that is not how you celebrate anyone. Like, oh my God. So now here's a bunch of video of women who really needed $1,000. Like, no. Oh my God. This is like the new comedy on OnlyFans. This is like the new comedy on OnlyFans. Like, is this really the platform? Like, you're between two girls showing their buttholes and you're just with a mic. Like,
so yeah, Pornhub is doing that. That can't be real, but that is funny though. If it is real, that's. I mean, the comments.
Time to announce it also during February or January. Like, by the way, 6 months from now.
So Logan Paul has a new drink out.
That'd be like if Lay's were like, we're celebrating Alcohol's Anonymous Week by having 5-year chips. Like,
for Holocaust Remembrance Day, we're only having Jewish women. It's just like what? Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It's
not good.
It's not good. So Logan Paul has a new drink out.
New flavor, 5-year chips.
Logan Paul has a new drink out called Prime. Have you heard about this? It's like it's up against Gatorade.
Here's the amazing thing: they'll pay you to drink it.
Him and KSI have this drink. It's now the official drink of the UFC. So Dana White and Logan Paul are now in business.
I like how Logan acted like he was signing with UFC to make everyone look at the announcement. And then being the official drink of the UFC, by the way, does that mean you have to drink it if you're signed with UFC? Like, or whatever, like we'd like to have some water at your camp here, but
they're going to have it like all over, you know, they're going to have it all over the, you know, the tables when they have the press conferences.
I bet they bill you for it too. I bet if the UFC gives you one, they charge you for it too.
That's so yeah, power slap. I guess like I said, they're having that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure what else we could.
Are you going through all that guy's notes right now?
Yeah, this guy gave me like this dude's my favorite thing ever.
Can we talk about the actual fights that are this weekend?
We already talked about him. Remember, it was the all Asian card, and then
but I mean that was like 2 weeks ago.
That was last week.
Last week? All right. I was just going to say Derek Lewis versus Spivac. I think this is because you don't like Derek Lewis in this one, and I think this is a great matchup for Derek Lewis. I think this is exactly the kind of thing he needs to get back in there.
He lost a lot of weight. You see, he got like in decent shape. He's Sean, you see this? He lost about 35 pounds, and he almost looks skinny. Which
that might not be good.
I don't think this is good. I think that whenever like a fat guy gets in good shape, it always remember Johnny Hendricks had like a 6-pack and he was losing to everybody, but when he had a belly, he was just knocking people out.
Yeah, like Derek Lewis doesn't need to fall in love with his cardio.
Yeah,
that's not what he's good at.
When I fought Pujanowski, his previous fight was at 315. He got all the way down to 260. I'm like, dude, the only thing you're good at is being strong. Why would you drop 50 or 60 pounds of muscle? That doesn't make any sense at all. You know what I mean? You're not a good fighter. It's that you're so overwhelmingly strong. He's still stronger than me. But that's like taking your Shaquille O'Neal learned to be a 3-point shooter. You know what I mean? Like, why? Like, why are you taking the thing you're best at and trying to change it? You know? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Let me see if I could find a picture. So here's him running. Fucking vibe.
Oh my God, he's gonna try. Like, I'm gonna try and take him into deep waters, get him into the 5th round. Like, no, that's not what you do.
Yeah,
knock guys out and fuck the floor. That's what you do.
You know, John Jones always said he fought better when he didn't take training seriously and was doing cocaine and just partying because he was carefree going in. Like, if I lose, I lose. It's just part of it. But whatever works for you, man. Derek Lewis, I think, is the kind of guy that going in with nothing to lose is his thing. Dang, he is way down.
Oh, shit. Now I got to put all the money on Spivac. Shit.
Wow. That's got to be more than 30 pounds, isn't it?
I mean, he looks thin. I mean, listen, he looks fantastic. But that, like we said, that doesn't equal being a, better fighter necessarily. Well, it means a different fighter, which may not be good. I mean, he's dead. I don't know. That's weird. I don't know what to say about that.
But I mean, what he was doing wasn't working in the past. He hadn't won his last couple fights. So.
Right. And clearly that's the thing. He's realized, you know what? I gotta take this more seriously. I gotta change things up. I gotta be a better fighter. It's like, and I struggle, everyone struggles with this. I struggle with it too. Like I'm kind of a dirty comic. I'm a party comic. That's what I do. I'm not Mr. Big Messages. I have some stuff that's social commentary, etc., but not too deep. But I always try and drag myself into that realm. And every time I do, I walk away going, what am I doing? I'm not that guy. I'm not, Carlin. I'm Kinnison. I'm, you know what I mean? I'm Robin Williams. I'm not, what are the Dennis Miller or something, like it's just not, or John Stewart. Like, it's just, I always, sometimes you just got to be the animal you are.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I'm actually curious. Before, I mean, if he would have came out the way he usually does, though, I would have been like, he's losing. So now I got to see, but I don't think his problem before was cardio. His last couple fights, he's just been getting wrecked. So we will see. I mean, who knows? Maybe if he actually puts more time into it, it'll mean more to him.
If he's skinnier because he's been training so much more, that's one thing. But if you did it just to do it, man, like I'll tell you what, the skinnier and lighter I got, the worse fighter I became. I was not unstoppable, but I was mopping Mitrione on the ground when I was 315 pounds. Like, it wasn't even close. When I got down where I'm walking at 285, 280, he would submit me and stuff. I didn't have any strength left. I didn't have anything because I was starved all the time, like in it. Everyone's like, you look fantastic. I'm like, I don't feel fantastic. I don't feel strong. I don't feel, like anything. So it's not great for everybody, but if it's just a result of taking it serious for the first time, who knows, man? Like, we'll see.
So Greg, what do you got coming up?
This weekend, I'm in Vegas, baby. I'll be there Thursday night doing the late show at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club right there on the Strip. And then Friday night doing the Dirty at 12:30. So come out and check out those shows. That one's at the South Point. The weekend after that, Super Bowl weekend, I will be in Glendale, Arizona at the Stir Crazy Comedy Club, which is right there in the complex with, the State Farm Arena, everything. It's all right there. I'm going to be right there doing shows at the Stir Crazy. You can join me for those. Week after that, I'll be at a corporate gig in the Bahamas, not too jammy. And then after that, I will be at TK's Comedy Club in Dallas, up in Addison. So if you're that way, I'll be up at TK's.
I also recommended you for Cabo. I did Cabo last week, and he wants to bring you out.
Isn't that, what's his name show?
Manny.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, like, Manny doesn't know.
I know.
Come on. But Manny's mad at me because I kicked him out of my fantasy football.
No, but he said he was a little nervous. He goes, "Can I bring him out? And will you be have too much partying around? Like, will you be?" And I'm like, "No, Greg doesn't party anymore." So
that's bullshit. He was mad at me because I fucking kicked him out of my fantasy football league. So, which I only kicked him out because the guy just didn't. He's one of those guys that thinks he's a great trash talker and really he's just being an asshole. And it's like I don't need this, dude. You're fucking out, man. This is supposed to be fun. You're fucking taking it way too seriously.
Sean, what do you got coming up?
I always loved it when guys took it too seriously. That always made me happy.
I just got annoyed. I was just sick of reading it all day. I'm like, oh God, fucking let up, dude.
Dude, I've had to block people on Facebook. There's two comics that like kept trying to fuck with me, and I'm like, I'm not part of your crew. I don't have time for this. And I post a video, and the people are like, what year? They got to me. You get to me in the wrong day. And then I found out that the guy was telling male comedians he had a gig for them. It was a nudist gig, and he was trying to see them naked. Like he was like, hey, you could only perform if I could see you naked first. It pays X amount of money, but they want to see what you look like naked. Like and this guy's married to a woman. So I'm like, if this dude ever fucks with me again, I have that in my pocket of like, bro, you're trying to get male comics naked, lying to them, saying you have a gig for them. You're a fucking scumbag. And then just see what he says.
I didn't even know Bruce Buffer was doing stand-up. That's weird.
There it is. Well, we almost made it through one.
Sean, what do you got?
I got doctor's appointments, man. That's about it. I've got they don't even pretend like they can help me anymore with my back. It's all about how are we getting to you're a drug addict. That's what we're getting to. Like I went to I got in that car accident where I rolled my car and could have died and everything. I go to the ER because my doctor said insurance won't pay for an MRI unless you've been denied an MRI by the ER. I was there for 2 hours trying to explain to them that I didn't want pain pills, that I just need a denial that you guys won't do an MRI. Well, we're going to need a urine sample from you. And I was like, no, I'm not like being admitted to the hospital. I just need a verification. I need my insurance to get MRI, on my back and neck because they hurt worse since that accident. And I know you guys don't do it. It's an emergency. It's been 4 weeks ago. So you just give me a denial letter. Well, we're going to go ahead and admit you. No, you're not. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Arguing with them, I eventually end up, they told me I couldn't leave. They said the security guard tried to tell me I couldn't leave, and I was like, dude, you don't tell me where I can go. Like, what are you talking about? I just walked out, or whatever. But I told my doctor she's going to have to just trust me that I said that they denied me an MRI. You know what I mean, or whatever, because they're not giving me a letter. So why do you seem nervous? I said, I'm not nervous. What do you mean? Well, why are you sweating? I'm like, it's like 150 in here, and I have to wear a mask. You know what I mean? Even though you're not wearing a mask, your security guard's not wearing a mask, but I've got to wear one. It doesn't make sense to me. Or whatever. And so I was like, oh, you seem nervous. I'm like, no, I don't want to be here. I just want to see if you guys could just, tell me you won't do an MRI or give me a letter or anything. You know what I mean? Just, can I film you? She got mad. I said, can I just film you saying you're not going to MRI? And then I can show it to my doctor, but it's just standard stupidity, man. So, but I could have got my vaccine for free if I wanted it. They would have done that.
All right. So February 27th to March 5th, I will be headlining the Laugh Factory in Las Vegas. Come see me.
Yay!
So thank you guys so much, and have a great week, guys. Take care.